It is our pleasure to be joined by a former Sooner. Now, he's old, ladies and gentlemen. He's gone because he's in the National Football League. Your newest Minnesota Viking. Ikard's dry on the contract, Walter Rouse. What's up, man?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for having me here. I'm so thankful. I can't wait to talk with you guys.
It's like
I
the best of both worlds being in Minnesota. It's miserable cold, but you get to play inside, man. That's how you want it,
Yeah,
right?
I've heard the winters can get pretty bad, but the stadium is beautiful. I've only seen it from above, but I can't wait to go out there and actually visit the stadium. It's truly magnificent. It's awesome.
let's start. Clearly want to talk to you about your time at OU, but let's start with the NFL stuff.
Okay.
I know maybe it took a little longer than you wanted it to during the
Yeah.
draft, but you got the call from the Vikings that they were selecting you in the sixth round. Just what was that moment like for you, Walter?
So really, at the time, we had a watch party going in the basement, in the place where I was at, and I was actually upstairs talking to people, and I had my phone with me, of course, and then this number pops up. No one called me all day. It says spam risk, and I'm like, this can only mean one thing. I mean, this is the one time I'm not gonna ignore a spam risk call. So I pick it up. I'm heading downstairs, get in front of the TV where everyone else is. And the Vikings is crazy. General manager with the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, the Minnesota Vikings, like they're picking me because I really haven't talked with them. I think I only spoke with them once during the Shrine Bowl, and really didn't have any communication with them after that. So they're talking with me, and they're like, "What kind of? Are you a Stanford man? Are you an Oklahoma man?" And I was like, "I'm the best of both worlds. I got the best of each school." And really, just in that moment, having all my family around me, it was just truly it was so surreal and amazing. And I can't even put it into words sometimes. It's just thinking about that moment and that feeling that I had. I was just all that hard work that I had put in for myself to get to that moment, and even just all the hard work that my mom, my grandma, my grandmothers, my cousins, all my family friends, everyone who's there, all the hard work they put in sacrifice and what they put into me was just really just fulfilling. And I just, when I heard my name called on TV, I was just, it was insane. It was a great moment just to be surrounded by my loved ones. And even though, I think I could have gone earlier. I just need an opportunity. And I've been given the opportunity and I'm just making the most of it.
So the transition's crazy though, right? You go from a season and then don't even have a chance to catch your breath before you go right into draft preparation. You're playing football, then you're doing
Mhm.
combine and pro day stuff, you're doing interviews, and then the big day comes, you get drafted. So that stress is gone, but all you've done is replace that with the new stress of go and be surrounded by a bunch of people you don't know, learn a new system. So how has that part of it been?
It's been great. Get a little bit learning curve, like starting learning the playbook and whatnot, and doing some rookie duties that we have, and learning about the O line room fines and how many fines there are. So it's been, I think I'm already up to like $50 in fines right now. So I've been learning about that, but just really just taking it all in, and we got a couple other guys who are rookies in the O line room as well. So being able to talk with them, and we're just navigating it together. But the transition has been great. The staff at the Vikings and the coaches have been awesome and just helping us, ease our transition. And like with the facilities being like right there, literally across from the hotel, has been awesome as well. I don't need a car or anything, and I can go to the facility really anytime I want if I want to get some extra treatment in or stonework and whatnot. So the transition has been great, but it's really just the downtime is like I think I had like about a week after the draft, and it's just from January to now, basically been going nonstop. And from now until the end of the season, it's still going to be going nonstop. So really now just preparing for the season. We moved from really 12 games in college, and now it's 17 games plus the playoffs, and could go till February. So it's a lot longer, and just really just gearing up for that as well.
I know you're a smart guy. That's well documented at this point. What was your initial reaction when you got your hands on the Vikings playbook?
So when they first gave me the iPad, and I started looking through the plays, and I was like, okay, I recognize some of these things from when I was at Stanford, some things from when I was at OU, and then really I started getting a little bit deeper and deeper, and I was like, okay, you know what? let me not like try and go ahead. Let me just take a step back because the way our line coach has been helping us and whatnot has been great. Has really been tapering it off in terms of like, okay, we're going to cover this and we're going to cover this, and we're just going to move on gradually. But like we're going to be when we're in meetings with the vets as well, and they're going through different plays, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, I'm sitting back I'm trying to understand what's going on and whatnot. I get a little bit of it. I want to ask questions, but this is for the vets right now. So the playbook, it's a lot, and there's like a lot of different variations and tags and things like that. But it's I don't think it's not too bad, especially the way they have us learning it. So it's not without its challenges. Definitely have to study it and work hard at it. But if you really commit yourself, and we even had a little study session this morning, and it's not going to be too bad. But we're starting OTAs tomorrow, and those team periods, and I have the potential to get in, have to make the most of that moment. So I gotta know every little thing.
Where they got you working right now? I know there was talk that you could possibly play both tackle and guard. Are you left? Are you right? What have you been working at so far?
So I when I was in the draft process, and when different teams were telling me, "Oh, we see you at guard and or a tackle," I started out at guard and when I was training. But being here at Minnesota, I've been doing right or left tackle. I definitely still want to be able to, if they need me to, get into that guard position. But they really have me working at the right tackle or left tackle spot. So aiming for being that swing tackle right now. But we have like 3 or 4 guys, 3 guys that are working at guard who are rookies, and a couple guys at tackle. So right now it's just been right or left tackle.
So I'm just going back and thinking about that initial shock of like getting into an NFL locker room, Ted. And Walter, are there any familiar faces for you in the Minnesota Vikings locker room? Like, do you know anyone already? Because I was fortunate enough to walk into a situation where I actually knew a couple of guys already, and that made it a little easier to kind of just feel comfortable.
Right.
Did you happen to know anyone on the roster already?
Sort of. So Harrison Phillips, he went to Stanford. We never played together, but I knew him a little bit through Stanford. So he was kind of the familiar face, the guy I knew. And really, I'm trying to think, except for him, that was pretty much it. So I'm really just going in there. I'm just seeing like, wow, it's like just seeing my name in the locker next to, I'm next to like Christian Darrisaw and the right tackle Brian O'Neill. So I'm just like, man, like this is the real deal. Got number 78, Walter Rouse up there. This is very cool. Then I remember walking up the facility, and it even hit me. And then I was like, hey, what's your name? He said, my name's Sam. And I was like, oh, my name is Walter. And I was like, oh, that was Sam Darnold. Oh, I was like, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, and I'm like, it just hit like I'm in the NFL now. You got guys like that walking around. I remember meeting Aaron Jones, and he just introduced himself to me, and I was like, oh, that's Aaron Jones from the Packers. The Minnesota Vikings now. It's so cool. It's really cool. And I'm just thinking about all that, and when I met CD for the first time, it's just going in, didn't really know anybody. I did know Mike Juergens a little bit. Worked out with the same guy back in Maryland. But aside from that, really just going in, just meeting everyone for the first time, and not really knowing anybody. But like I said, staff and coaches, they've been great, and just really excited. They really welcomed me.
How about with your draft class? Usually, whenever there's a bunch of guys that don't know anybody, you guys kind of pull together there. And there's some big names in that draft class. You guys had a really nice draft.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've had, Tyler Guyton going in the first round, and I think this was one of the heavier tackle drafts and O-line drafts in recent memory, especially with the amount of guys that went in the first round. But yeah, especially, getting in with the combine and meeting up with those guys as well. And some of the guys that I trained with down in Florida, really just, coming together and talking to one another, and, really just now, meeting guys like Jackson Power Johnson out in Oregon, and just guys in Utah and around the country. It's really just been awesome. Like, okay, now he's here, he's there, and everyone's doing well so far. So it's good to see that.
So there's always a certain pressure that comes with the quarterback that gets drafted in the first round. What has JJ McCarthy been like? Have you spent a lot of time with him? I know that that rookie class, man, those they tend to stick together for a long time until you start seeing guys go other places. So what's McCarthy been like?
He's really been just a really like a chill, relaxed guy. Really just also just outgoing, introducing himself. I remember he FaceTimed me, after I got drafted, just really excited about, getting up to Minnesota and start working, and getting better. And he's friendly. He's just, awesome guy. I already consider a pretty good friend, and just a really great all around dude. And he's just very excited. Can't wait, learning the playbook and getting out there, and just not letting, at least not showing it, not letting any stress or anything get to him. And he's just, just very friendly with everyone else. So yes, JJ is a really great guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit, and I'm very excited to see what he has to offer and what he's going to be able to do for the Minnesota Vikings. But yeah, all around, he's an awesome guy.
I know the first thing you do typically is start sizing up who you're going to have to be blocking in OTAs and in training camp and all that stuff. What's the D-line and edge guys looking like?
They're looking pretty good. I know, we know that our prime, the edge rusher, Daniil Hunter, he left, and I was like, okay, I'm both happy and sad. Like, okay, I don't have to go up against him, but also, he's a good guy to go up against. I know in time he'll make me better. But just looking at the D linemen, and when we're out there for last week, and when I first got there, I'm like, okay, all right, so I got him. Okay, I know that's Harrison Phillips. All right. Learning at different edge rushers and whatnot, and the D tackles I might have to get a doom with, or hit it with a B or whatnot. So it's I'm both very excited, some nervousness, but I know they're going to make me better, and I may not win every rep, but I know just as long as I keep coming back after that rep, I'll just keep getting better. But yeah, I've definitely, if not, haven't been seeing anybody, I'm just like, okay, keeping an eye out, seeing how they're working and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some battles. I know that for sure.
It's kind of an easy transition to your time at OU. How prepared do you feel already? Now, clearly, you get to the NFL, you got to get better. You got to get better every single day. That's got to be the mentality. But how prepared do you feel with your time at OU for the NFL?
I feel very prepared. I mean, in the 1 year I was there, I feel like the amount of how much better I got, the amount of knowledge I amassed was just truly significant in that time there. I mean, from the very first day, and I've told all the scouts and coaches who asked me this, but from the very first day I got there in January, I mean, Coach Beatonbow, we were doing like tests, quizzes, and assessments, and I'm like, holy snap, like, we're starting this right now, and really just getting immersed into like the Oklahoma playbook and whatnot. But he really, one of the things with Coach Beatonbow I really appreciate is like the amount of detail that he paid attention to and how much of that meant to him, and also about perfection. And like, no one's perfect, but on your way to perfection, you're going to be pretty great, and achieving that greatness. And that's what he kept from January all the way through the season. And Venables only just built upon that. And so even with me being hurt, finding different other things to do to, instead of doing mat drills or spring ball, just doing the footwork on the side, and really just building upon that. And, especially when we got to training camp in the season, going against guys, like especially Ethan Downs, we probably had the best battles me and him going against each other. He definitely made me better, and I made him better. Sometimes I didn't like him at all, but I knew he was always there. He's this guy, Ethan's guy just goes nonstop all the time. I really appreciate it about him. And just, with the type of practices that we were doing, I mean, I was like, we're going off the bat. I mean, Coach Venables' first period, we're doing goal line. I'm like, oh, snap, okay. Let's go. This is awesome. And, just how intense practices were, especially with training camp. Even at the same time, he was also taking care of us, making sure, our bodies are right, talking with the nutritionists, the recovery specialists and athletic trainers. But overall, like, Oklahoma prepared me. I feel like they prepared me very well, especially how I think the best part I excelled in the most or got better in the most was how I see the defense and how I understand football as a whole, because I really felt my knowledge, especially when I got to Oklahoma, was like, oh, snap, like, I'm here. I need to get here. And in my time in Oklahoma, I got there. I mean, there were times where Coach Beatonbow, asked me questions or whatnot, and he's like, you don't know this? And I'm like, nah, I don't know. I didn't know that. And like, and asking these questions I'm asking, I'm thinking it's better to ask now than, ask him second quarter in a game versus West Virginia or something like that. So just really just getting those answers in and really understanding how the game is played and how we study the film and what he had us doing. I mean, he had us breaking down different situations. I had short guys in goal line. Other guys had third and long, red zone, tight zone. And we did that for each team that we played against. We'd come in on Sunday, do it on Monday, and we'd come in with a report. Like doing that each and every week, it took me from breaking down, it took me 3 hours to break down the film to maybe only an hour because of how well I see the game, how much I understood what I was looking at. And that really helped me, especially going into the season. I mean, going into the draft process, and now studying film on NFL guys now.
Well, we wish we had you longer at Oklahoma. It feels like it was all started and over so quick. So when you look back, do you have any favorite moments? I know it was a big deal to go play in that bowl game, and wish that would have turned out differently. But what were some of your favorite moments throughout the season?
Yeah, going to the bowl game was definitely one of my favorite moments because I've never been to a bowl game before. It's my first time having that experience in the bowl week, bowl game itself, and that was truly amazing. But I gotta say, and you guys probably could guess this, like my all-time favorite moment would be the Texas game. And just the game itself, even just the game itself, and no slight, no shade to them. I thought, at the time, Stanford and Cal, I thought that was, okay, this is a rivalry right here. This is, bad blood. And then, you enter the stadium and you see just the burnt orange and you got Oklahoma fans and it's just split down the middle, red and orange. And it's like, oh, wow, now this is a rivalry. One side is just cursing you out, saying all types of things. The other side is cheering you on. And just from the moment the game started till the end, it was just nonstop high octane. It was just awesome. And then, of course, a minute 17 left, driving 75 yards down the field to get a touchdown. We're on like the 12-yard line. They got to get a double block in there. DG jumps up. Everyone just working in unison. Nick Anderson gets a touchdown. That probably is like one of my all-time favorite moments. I think when I was at Stanford, beating Oregon when they were number 3 in the country, that was like my number 1. Now that's number 2, and that Texas game is just my all-time favorite moment in college football. The amount of, elation and just excitement that I felt in that moment really, like sometimes I wish I could just go back and just experience that. Because I was on I was like high on life for like the whole week, especially because we were going into a bye week. So I was just like, man, we beat Texas. Like, and I only went to Oklahoma for 1 year. I'm not supposed to like dislike Texas like that, but Smitty had us doing med ball sit-ups, 49 reps every single day in the summer, and I hated that. Someone would mess up, restart. Someone's not doing it properly, restart. 49, and just I'm like, I developed some animosity towards Texas, and I'm like, I've only really been around with them for 1 year. So that game was definitely the number 1 moment for me at OU and probably all time in college. But other moments I have to say, I didn't get to play, but the spring game, that was awesome. I've never been a part of the spring game with 80,000 people. That was just so cool. Like, the first time I really saw the Oklahoma fandom and, how much they were passionate about us and, how much they cared for us. And that was really cool to see. And especially that atmosphere. Also, I love doing the football camps with the kids. That's one of the things I love. Just if I can just, helping kids out, just period, is awesome. And being able to coach them and teach them the game of football, whether they're, in elementary school or in high school trying to get to college. I truly had a fun time doing that. And even keeping in contact with some of the kids to this day, and if they need any questions or help, just come to me and I do my best to give those answers to them. And it was just, and also the internships. I had a blast doing there was the ESO fund, like trading up in San Francisco. I don't have any interest in that, but I was like, you know what? Might as well, get some connections and know some people out there. Still talk to them to this day. Great people. Had a awesome time out there with Jackson and DJ, and then doing the medical internship at OU Health. Saw some surgeries. I met the president of the university. Of the whole entire campus for the hospital. It was truly awesome and truly amazing. And just I was able to just the connections I made with people that I still have today are going to help me when I want to, whenever I'm done with football, I want to come back later in life and restart that, do that career that I want to branch off into. So there was a lot of different things that I loved at OU. Those were specifically just some of my favorites.
I know you were on the offensive side of the ball, and Venables is heavily focused on the defensive side. But since you got to spend the time with Coach Venables that you did, what was kind of your main takeaway of the type of leader he is for OU?
To the two main reasons I came to OU was Coach Beatonbow, of course, and then the second one was Coach Venables. I really bought into what he was saying, through all our times on FaceTime, even when, I went to when I went on my official visit, and he really backed up everything he was saying when I got there, because it wasn't just about football for him. He always says the number one thing I want you to do is graduate. And with the Soul Mission, program that he had started, and everything they were doing with that, with player development, helping us financial, any stuff outside of football. Like, it wasn't just that, he was this great head coach. He was, yelling in your face, once you get better. Like, everyone's like that. There's a lot of head coaches that are like that. But the way he treated us, like we were part of his own family, like we were his sons too, and how much he cared for that. And like, if we were to mess up, like that passion because of how much he cared for us, like that is something that I truly saw in him that I hadn't really seen or I'd seen anywhere else. And then he was like that. He was consistent from the moment I got there at OU to when I left. He didn't change up at all. Like that was him in January, and that was him in February, August, October, November, December. And he's also, I thought, a lot of people might think like, I can't really go talk to Coach Venables and whatnot. I thought I could, there are times where I could go speak to him about anything, and he would always be there for me. And even when he had things going on in his own family, personally, he always put those aside to, take care of us and to make sure we were doing all right, whether it was on the football field and off the field. And, I love a coach who can get energized and who can just get in your face and pumps me up. And Venables, he could do that every single time. And I just loved it. And every time, we were in training camp, we're going out before halftime, before the game itself. I just loved his speeches. Maybe you could cut back a little bit on, the after practice talks. That's
so long,
just
so ridiculously long.
I sometimes I don't think he realizes that he might say something and then circle back to that same thing, but say it a different way. I mean, and also the team meetings, like he'll come in with the hourglass and it'll have, like how much to say, how much time is left. I'm gonna flip it on again and to restart it. And I'm just like, Coach. And some people like, hey, Coach. But I love Coach Venables regardless. But that might be the one thing, like, you don't have to sit me down for 45 minutes. Let me cut it to 20. That's nice, 20 minutes. But aside from that, no, I love Coach Venables.
That's good stuff. Well, they're gearing up for a big year right now. Obviously, they're heading into the SEC. What's your thoughts about the team? I know there's a bunch of guys now that have arrived that maybe you aren't as familiar with, but maybe some guys on the offensive line. You got to play for Jackson Arnold in his first start. What do you think about him moving forward?
Oh, I have no worries about Jackson. He's going to be a great quarterback moving forward. Already is a great leader. Saw some of that during the season. And I know it wasn't the best game he had, especially his first start going in at the Alamo Bowl. But I have all the confidence in the world in him, and just the way that he carries himself, even after the game, and taking that accountability. Very mature for his age. I can't wait to see what he does in the SEC and moving forward in the coming years. And then with the O-line, very excited about that, especially the freshman that we get, like Eddie Pierre, him coming in, his size and strength, and all the other people that we have as well. Can't wait to see what Jacob Sexton does, and Jake Taylor. Really excited about those guys. I mean, I know Coach Beatonbow, he's gonna have them ready to go. A lot of people, we were kind of like a bunch of misfits put together, bring guys in the transfer portal last year. And, we had some different combinations, and Coach Beatonbow got us ready to go. I believe he's going to do the same, especially going to SEC, which is it's going to be another higher level competition. And I know a lot of people think, going from Big 12 to SEC, Oklahoma's going to do terrible and whatnot, but they don't know. They haven't been, behind the curtain like I have, or you guys on the sideline and in the locker rooms and whatnot. So I have all the confidence in the world, going into the SEC. And, and I just feel like we're going to each year just going to keep building upon that. And then with the defensive line, the pickup we got from TCU, Dominic Williams, I think his name is, like, that's a huge pickup because I went against him last year. And that's a big dude to move, that's a great pickup for us. I'm very excited about that. He's like 315, 6'2". The best way I can describe him, and this in the best way possible. It's like a tree stump. You can't move. Like you just can't move it. That's who he is. Like, it's a tree stump. It's just slowly moving forward, and he has surprising, quick for his size, good speed. So, and how I'm going to get against him and other pickups that we've had, I'm very excited to see what our D-line is going to be about. And I have no doubt that he's going to mesh well with Coach Bates and Venables' defense. So yeah, and we got Billy Bowman coming back, who got robbed last year for the what was the award?
The
Thor. He got robbed for the Thor. Should have won that, but hey, we'll get it. Let's aim for it this year. But yeah, I'm very excited about the team as a whole. And as I said, Beanbo's going to get him ready. I know Coach Venables is going to get him ready. Training camp right around the corner.
I'm interested in your experience in the transfer portal because you were, I would say you were hot in those streets, man. A lot of people wanted you to tackle. You know how it is. Tackle's a premium position. You had the situation where I believe, didn't you commit to Nebraska and then you chose OU instead? I'm sure Nebraska fans love you for that. What was that process like? You hear all these things about portal and the NIL piece. What was that process like for you? Like, what's true and what's not?
So it actually, I remember the day I entered my name in the portal and I was like, I'm gonna put my phone away and I'll just check it tomorrow. And I checked it tomorrow and I was like, wow, that's a lot of messages and whatnot. And the most I've had since I was getting recruited and out of high school. And actually, I kind of liken it to that, but I could better navigate it since I've been through it once already. And then it's just all about, you can't just take on everyone all at once. You got to see, like, okay, who really needs a tackle? Who really is going to commit to, you being there, wanting you to come, and just, weeding those colleges and whatnot out. And once I got to that point, then there was also that NIL aspect, which I didn't know would be, especially, I think that was like the first year that people were really, getting NIL deals and whatnot. And I remember just colleges, like first conversation, like, hey, we can give you this much and whatnot. I'm like, huh? What? To me, this is my first time here. Like, I remember, Stanford. I remember at Stanford when they were first getting their collected together and whatnot, and they were, we can give you this much and this much, and then I was like, yeah, I like that. And then I'm talking to Auburn, they're like, yeah, bam, like over 100. What? That's crazy. And I don't think it was. It wasn't like, I would say the NIL wasn't the deciding factor for me because there were, schools that offered more than both Nebraska and Oklahoma did. And if I did it for that, then I would have gone to those different schools. I truly picked, Oklahoma because of because of Coach Beatonbow and their standard of excellency and, what they've done in the past and, the guys they have in the NFL. But overall, for me, I don't think the portal was too bad. I had different, in terms of the agencies that wanted to represent me in the NFL, they were like, offering to help, for NIL deals and whatnot. They're like, hey, I talked to this school, they can get you this, they can get you that. So trying to like say, hey, I'm cool here. Don't really need to do that, but I appreciate it. And, just, trying to limit the amount of communication and the amount of notifications that I'm getting in messages as possible, because it's just a lot. You might miss some things. When it got down to like the official visits and whatnot, actually, things happened kind of fast because I guess I entered my name kind of late. Auburn was like, we'll get you on a plane tomorrow. And I was like, oh, wow. Before the first dead period, I was like, okay, let's go. So did that. And then I was able to get in Oklahoma, Iowa to Nebraska for my last 3 official before like the next dead period. And then I had to, making the decision and whatnot. And really, I guess the toughest part for the transfer portal for me was that decision and what came after the decision to make the other decision. I really had an amazing time. I had an amazing time in Oklahoma. And I really had an amazing time in Nebraska. And Nebraska, they really surprised me with this, just my perception of Nebraska. And then when I got there, just seeing the downtown Lincoln and whatnot, I was like, wow, this hotels all over the place, city lights. And this is awesome, and I did think there was going to be a lot more, cornfields, things like that. So I did have that perception. But when I saw it, and great coaching staff, great facilities, and I truly had an amazing time there. And going, hanging out with the players and whatnot. I was like, wow, this guy. I think this place could be for me. I really do like, Coach Raiola, what he's talking about and things like that. And so, when I got back on Monday, I just couldn't get Nebraska out of my head. I was like, I think this is the right place. This is the right place. And, I had my mom was like, making sure you make the right decision, just think it over, just really. And I think it was on that Wednesday or either Wednesday or Tuesday night where I called, Coach Rule, and I told him I'm going to commit. And I remember we went to go celebrate, went to this Korean barbecue spot. And after I, posted it, posted my commitment picture, video, whatever, I was going to Nebraska. I just got this feeling, and I was like, okay, it's going to go away. The grass is greener on the other side. And like the next day, I woke up still feeling that way. I literally just spent the day just talking things over, praying about it. Just, thinking to myself, and like, did I make the right decision? Because I had as good times as I had in Nebraska, I had probably equally greatest time at, Oklahoma. I remember when I was there, I was talking to Coach Phil, and and my mom was in the back of the car. I was mouthing the words. I was like, I'm going to commit like right now. Like, let's commit on the spot. And we still had Iowa and Nebraska to visit. But the more it just really conflicted with myself. And, I think it was on that Saturday, I was, heading to Nebraska, and I was like, if I get on that plane, then, there's no turning back. And is this the decision do I really want for myself? And, the more I thought about it, I was, like, Oklahoma is the place for me. That's the place where I should be at. And I made the decision. Called Nebraska, and I told them that, I'm gonna. You're not gonna believe it, but I'm not coming to Nebraska. I'm gonna go to Oklahoma instead. And I hated making that call. I hated. I would see people who flipped, and I'm like, why would they do that? Decommitment, and then they commit to school 2 days later. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then I ended up being in that exact same position. Now I'm just like, wow. And especially the way I did it, I just alienated a whole really a whole state against me. I'm like, yeah, this is great, because there's no NFL professional team basketball. I'm like, Nebraska, and they were so passionate when I committed. They're like, yeah, you're gonna bring Nebraska back to the glory days and whatnot. I decommit. And you see some some comments and whatnot. You're like, yeah, I knew it could get that bad, but I didn't know it could get that bad. I just said this, people are very creative with what they want to say to you when they're very passionate about something. But in my heart, I knew that was the right decision to make, as much as I didn't want to make the decision, especially, I knew how, coaches that would feel and those fans would feel, but I had to do what was best for me and my family. And, looking back, the way I would go about the decision, I would change it, but I would choose Oklahoma 10 out of 10 times again. And I didn't look back. I was so thankful to be at Oklahoma and Coach Venables to give me that opportunity. And yeah, they truly did amazing things for me. And, I'm sitting here speaking with you guys right across from the Viking facility. And, I came to Oklahoma because I felt like I needed to get better. And I felt like I did that. And not only that, I felt like I made I gained a new family, because the way the Oklahoma fans accepted me and welcomed me in, truly felt amazing and special. But yeah, that's how the process went. And how I got to eventually ended up in Oklahoma.
This is the last one I got for you, Walter. EA Sports NCAA Football. The last year the game was made was my senior year. It's been a while. So I was on the last time that game was put out. I am on it. They are bringing it back the year after you are gone. Do you feel personally attacked by that?
I guess I wouldn't say personally attacked, but when I heard the announcement, I was thinking, okay, wait, I'm gonna get in right before the game, right before I have to leave, and then the more I hear, I'm like, damn, like I wanted to be in the game, like I 10 years, and you couldn't come up with maybe a year earlier, 2 years earlier. You just had to wait that long. I don't, I'm happy that the game is back and whatnot. I can't wait to get it, but I would love to, I would love to be like, I'm Walter Rouse. I'm in the game. I'm in the NFL though, so that's not bad.
Yeah,
either.
you'll be on Madden. You'll be on Madden.
I'll be on Madden. Yeah,
Good.
exactly.
Walter, you're the man. Hey, I think you made the right decision picking OU, man.
Yeah.
All the best. Have fun in OTAs. You're gonna kill
Yes,
it. We're this entire fan base. We're all behind you, man. We appreciate the time.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me on.